that bar.
That extra gear, the first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.
All right, welcome to another episode of Behind the Gear, and today we are very lucky. We've got the big man in the seat, Jake Murray, and for those of you who don't know, Jake plays in the OHL for Hamilton Bulldogs. We got a couple of those guys kicking around.
4 of us.
That's right, yeah. The big bad Bulldogs. But Jake played obviously minor hockey in this area and is obviously was quite a player in minor hockey and now has an opportunity to play in the OHL. But one of the things I want to get into, we won't get into right now, but just so anyone who's listening who doesn't know who Jake is, Jake's had 2 bouts of cancer through his career, and we're talking, Jake, how old are you now? You're only 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, which is insane, and so you've gone through a lot, obviously, and you've overcome a lot of this, and I think it's a really important. I love the fact, and I really appreciate the fact that you're coming out and kind of talking about this, because I think, I think it's important. We all have obstacles, and then I may get cut from a team and think it's the end of the world, and look down the street, you got Jake Murray, who's fought something that's could have been devastating. So
it's crazy. I mean, something I definitely never thought I'd have to deal with, but I think I'm at a point now, me and my family, where we're pretty willing to talk about it. I was telling you earlier, it's better that people hear my side of the story, as opposed to the rumors and stuff like that. So
are there rumors in hockey? I don't think there are.
Never. No one ever says anything. Yeah.
And we'll get into that a little bit. But if anyone saw you on the street, where's Jake Murray from? Where's home for Jake Murray?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Kamoka, Ontario.
Oh, beautiful Kamoka.
Yeah.
How much has Kamoka changed over the years?
It's crazy.
Now, if anyone doesn't know, it's a little small town outside of London, and that's where the Chiefs play, so the AAA team outside of London. But small town, like nothing going on there 10 years ago, and now it's popping, like a bunch of young families.
It's a place to be. Yeah, now it's crazy. Like, it's small town, but all of a sudden we have an LCBO, grocery store, Timmy's, Subway, a whole home hardware just got built in front of my house. I'm like, there's 2,000 people here. Like, why do we need our own home
You know why? Because there's money out there. Yeah. Money families live out there.
Crazy. I got to move to Mount Bridges.
And then played your minor hockey for Chiefs, obviously, right? For most of it.
Yep. 8 years.
8 years of the Chiefs. Now, when you were young, so coming out of like that, if you think back, it's a little while ago, but like 7, 8, 9 years old, when you got into Adam, did you jump right into AAA kind of right off the bat in Adam and play it all the way up?
Yeah. I was actually
oh, here we go.
Exceptional status.
I love exceptional status babies. I love it.
No, I played my first year, so my major novice year.
Yeah.
I played for the Chiefs, minor Adam with the 99s.
And how much did your dad pay? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, a ton.
And you were the captain. Weird.
Weird. And the coach. Yeah.
Yeah. But that happened. It's funny. I joke about a lot of guys like that I've had on before that were great players, obviously when they were young and continued on. And a lot of them, like, I played up a couple years, and I say the same thing, like, oh, you're an exceptional status
one of those
kid.
kids. No, there was I don't know why, but somehow my parents found out that, like, I should go to the Chiefs trials. I actually played in London minor hockey. I played for West London.
Okay.
So I went to the Chiefs tryouts as an underager, and there were 3 of us that made the team, 3 underagers.
Okay, cool.
So
okay, who were the other ones? Do you remember?
Me, Joel Mazzilli, and a kid named Corte Day.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do remember him because he played for a little while.
He played for the Chiefs for a while.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure totally what he does now. I think he's in school, but so the 3 of us, we all played. And
this is something for parents, though, real quick on this topic, right? A lot of times you'll meet parents and they're like, oh, my kid's 7. He's like probably one of the best 7-year-olds in London, which is great, like awesome. But you look at those, 3 boys, same birth years that end up playing up a year, which is awesome. And that's pretty common because some of the 8-year-olds are really good. And it's better for them to play with better players. So that's great. But out of those 3 players, one of them's not playing hockey anymore. One of them's playing junior B a little bit. And then and then yourself is playing in the O, right? And so, I mean, you look at it like, what I'm getting at is like putting in the context that the best players at the young ages are not necessarily the ones that are going to continue. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. I mean, even if you look at my Hamilton team, there's like 3 or 4 kids that were 15th rounders in their OHL draft year. So that just goes to show,
awesome,
even in the last 2 years, those kids have made huge strides.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's obviously the cases where the kid's the best player right from the start.
Yeah.
Those kids usually go on to do special things.
For
but
sure.
Yeah, definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Those 15 rounders, real quick, like so late round picks making the team, which a lot of times you've heard this before. You get drafted in the 13th, 14th, 15th round of the draft. You're like, you're not never gonna play. That's the that's the rumor mill from the hockey gods, right? What are some of the things that you see in those 15th rounders and why they made the team? Like, how does a 15th rounder make the team?
Yeah. I mean, so there's a kid named Isaac Nurse that I played with for 3 years. I played with him, and he was, I want to say, like an 11th round pick or a 13th round pick, and he was our captain last year. He's a Hamilton boy, and yeah, he just like, I think the coolest thing about those kids is they have no expectations.
Sure.
A lot of them. So they just go into camp and they really, like, they legitimately earn a spot.
Yeah.
Whereas some, like, if I'm being honest, like, there's some first rounders, second rounders, these kids that, like, they just don't work as hard as these 15th rounders who, like, actually go out and, like, have something to show they have a reason just to go balls to the wall.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I think it's so true. I think
They're
those
not
15
entitled,
rounders.
Yeah.
Entitled, exactly. And I get it. Some first rounders are unbelievable. They want to play in the NHL. They're
Yeah, of course.
But you have some high end picks for second, third rounders. They're like, okay, when do I punch my ticket? When do I get my
when am I
NHL
outta
contract?
here? Well, yeah.
Right? And I think you're right. I think those 13, 14, 15 rounders, they got a lot of adversity and they got to overcome that and try to make those strides to be able to keep up and play. So yeah, it's cool it's almost a bit of a recipe, right? Like how do those guys make the team? Well, like you said, they work, they will it, they work their tail off, they get in shape, they work on their skills, all that stuff, right? For minor hockey for you though, what was it like kind of, all the way going through? Cause I know you were obviously one of the top guys on your team. When you were kind of leading up, cause I know in minor hockey, Adam's fun, Pee Wee's great, Bantam, now all of a sudden you're like, okay, we got the draft coming up and we're in Ontario. Everyone wants to play for the OHL and probably the London Knights. And what were those last couple of years like kind of minor Bantam, major Bantam? So you look at like U13, U14, U15, getting ready for the draft, being a high-end player. Like was it something that was kind of on your mind a little bit or did you not really think about it and just play?
I mean, I would be lying to you if I said I didn't think about it. I mean, from whenever I was 10 years old, I would stay Saturdays and watch the older kids, the minor midget kids, and see the scouts. And then the last few years, I remember being stressed. And I think at the very start of minor midget, I was like, I had a good start, but I was like, I was nervous and I was thinking too much. And then I remember, I don't know if you know this, but like on Twitter, there's like these scouts that tweet after games. I remember I deleted Twitter and I was like, okay, I'm done with this stuff. Like I'm done. I was too in my head, like after my game, I'm going on Twitter to look about who thought I played good instead of did I think I played good.
Yeah.
So I deleted Twitter and then I remember my game like really taking off. Like that's when I was like, okay, I'm not focusing on this other stuff. If I just play good, what's got me here these last few years, what's got my name out there, then I'll get drafted and it'll work out. But if I think about this stuff too much, if I think about scoring races and all that kind of stuff, it'll just get in the way. So, yeah.
That's, what though? That is such good advice for a lot of young kids where they get, because even like you think of those forums, those online forums, this is more for parents, but parents get on these online forums and they start trashing kids and getting into battles online. It's like, why are you wasting that energy? And you're right, because you want to get that feedback where that scout said, man, Murr was awesome tonight. He played really well. You're like, okay, cool. But for every one or two of those, there's another 5 of them saying that you can't skate well or your shot sucks. And like and what do you remember? Do you remember that one guy who said you played really well or the other 5 that says you were trash?
I remember early in the year, do you know what the scout.ca is?
I've heard of it, but no, I've never really checked it out.
Okay, so they do like this ISO cam thing.
Okay.
So I found out the guy was coming. It was my ISO game where he just, and I had a terrible game because the whole day all I could think about was tonight's my ISO game. I better. But yeah, it's funny.
No, but I think that is so true. Even going out in a minor midget game, so like your draft year, right? And you go and there's a bunch of trench coats in the stands and clipboards. It's nerve-wracking, man, as a kid. And
it is nerve-wracking.
And any kid is like,
100%.
I don't even think about it. Like, come on. You're sitting on the bench grabbing water and you're looking in the stands a little bit. You're like, okay, man, this is a little more nerve-wracking than a normal minor hockey game, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of pressure on younger players to kind of make that jump, obviously. Mm-hmm. Going through minor hockey, what were your parents like? Because I know you got a sister as well. And obviously, like, you're busy family.
Yep.
You're obviously all in on hockey, especially at that point,
Yep.
getting older. But what were your mom and dad like? Were they kind of on you? Were they pretty intense with you? Were they pretty laid back with the whole thing? Were they?
I think I had a kind of a good mix between like the best of both worlds. So my mom couldn't care less about hockey, like if I'm being honest.
It's kind of awesome. Yeah.
She loves cheering me on, but
Yeah.
she couldn't, like, I don't even know if she knows all the rules, like, to be honest. I'm like, watching the Stanley Cup this year, like, she has no interest. She'd rather watch 90 Day Fiance. But my dad, he's very into hockey. He's very aware of what's going on. So he was stern with me, not hard on me, but very like this is a big year. Like, if you're not going to take it seriously, like, you might regret it. So let's take this seriously and let's give it our best shot. And then my mom was just like, have fun.
Yeah.
So.
Now looking at that, like having I'm the opposite. I had my mom was probably harder on me than my dad, but not,
really?
Yeah, but more like, why can't you score? Like the net's so big and the puck's so small,
funny,
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, mom. Like, and my dad was always like, get in the car after a bad game, be like, hey buddy, you played really well. I'm like, no, dad, I sucked tonight. Like, especially as I got older, right? So I look back on it now, I'm like, it was awesome. But I would have liked to have had probably a little more push sometimes. Mm-hmm. And not in a, you suck tonight, you got to be better. Like, just like, hey, how do you think you played? Mm-hmm. I didn't think I played that well. What do you think, Dad? And if my dad had said, yeah, I thought you sucked, then I'd crumble. Like anybody would, right? But if my dad's like, no, man, it wasn't your best game, but I think you did this well. And kind of now next game, you got to do this better. And just a little bit more direction or things like that, I think would have been helpful. So for you, I know your dad was a hockey guy and he was involved and he was, in with it. Like, do you,
like most dads are now.
Totally. Yeah, I know for sure. Like, did that kind of motivate you a little bit, or that kind of like help push you in that direction of being an elite player as far as getting to get drafted and play in the O?
I mean, yeah, for both my parents, like they put so much into it, sending me to Blythe or whatever to come, like, and then I don't know whether it's right or wrong. Like I remember having if I had a good game, the first thing I think about was like, oh, like my parents are gonna be so happy. Like I don't know if that's right, but that was my feeling.
Sure.
Like, they put so much into it. Like I just wanted to make them proud. Like my dad, I love seeing him happy, like proud of me.
Yeah.
And not to say he wouldn't be proud of me if I played bad, because he always was like, his biggest thing was always just try hard.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
He always say, just play with heart, and then whatever happens.
Yeah.
Other than that, so if I play with heart, tried hard, my mom would tell me skate fast. That was skate fast out there. Like you can't even skate fast the whole game. But yeah, just making my parents proud was huge for me. So.
Yeah, and I think that's a role for a lot of kids, man. I remember my dad would always sit in one area and we were blue or whatever. So I'd always hear like, let's go blue. And sometimes he wouldn't be there right at the start of the game, grab Timmy's or whatever. And as soon as I heard him, I never really looked in the stands much, but I could hear him and I knew he's there. And you're right, man. You play for your parents a little bit, obviously. And, I think it's a big piece. But going through that minor midget year now, so you're getting ready for your draft, you're kind of getting excited for it and stuff like that. And then boom, like the first kind of incident of cancers coming into you.
Yep.
How do you identify that? How do you even know that you have something wrong? Like what, were you just feeling sick, or like how did that even happen as far as identifying it?
I don't know when it started to come on exactly. It was around Christmas time, but I just really started to not feel like myself. Like I would have headaches, just couldn't breathe out of my nose. And it was to the point where I'm like, okay, like this isn't right. Like I like hockey's everything to me. I love hockey. And like, I'm like, oh, I don't even have the energy to like go to practice. Like, I'm like, oh, I just want to stay home tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started out with some allergy tests because they thought I might have allergies. And then developed into scans, and then we found out I was diagnosed with a form of nasal cancer, and it happened so fast, like right away. I was meeting with the doctor, setting up treatments, and getting started. So. And
did you catch it early enough that it was,
Yeah, I caught it really early.
Yeah, okay, so you were lucky. But I think a lot of times too, and this is no knock on any parent out there, but your kid has a sniffle, especially at young ages. You're like, whatever. But when it lingers and you're older, so you can communicate quite well. Like, I don't feel right. But go get those tests done. Go push a little bit to make sure that you figure out what it is, right? Because, man, detecting it early was probably a massive, help for you guys, obviously, right?
Oh, yeah, we caught it early. And, like, I'm very, very lucky and blessed as far as there was never any doubt from the doctors.
Yeah.
they were always very confident with me. Like, this is very treatable.
Yeah.
So let's just treat it and get you back to doing the things you love. So very, very lucky as far as that, because I'm very aware some people aren't that lucky now. And it's sad to talk about, but like that's literally what my life has become. Like I realize how precious it is. So just taking every day slow and enjoying it is like so huge for me now.
No, man, I think that's, and coming from a 20-year-old, like normally you hear that from like grandma,
like an
and
old
grandpa.
man telling you.
Just take it easy,
Yeah.
you know? But no, I think that's great advice, man, and cherish those moments you have with your mom, your dad, your son, your daughter, whatever that is. Like, I think that's massive.
Yeah.
Now when you did find out, like, you know, you go in, it's not allergies, it's not this, they're bringing you in the office, I'm sure, and be like, hey, listen, you know, you got cancer. Yeah. What goes through, like, was the rest of the, like, you know, see in movies, someone gets diagnosed with something and the rest of it just goes blank and just like, wah, wah, wah.
Literally.
Like, what was it like for you after you heard that word? Because that's the scariest word. Like, I was joking with you earlier, if I have a bump on my elbow, you know, like everybody thinks it's like, okay, I got it. Like,
it's like,
you know,
it's like almost euphoric. Like, it's like all of a sudden you're in a movie. Like, I remember like them telling me, and I'm like, it's like people are like, oh, did you cry all day? I'm like, no, like I was almost blank. Like I was like, no, I don't. Like, what are you talking about? No, I don't.
Right.
But yeah.
So go through like a little bit of denial at first, probably, right?
Yeah,
like this isn't, like, you got the wrong test, obviously. Clearly, you mixed up my
I remember
papers.
going home and like my parents were really upset. I'm like why are we sad again? Like, like it didn't even set in, and I don't even know like to this day if it's fully set in.
Right.
Like, I just go about every day and like I don't know why, but I'm like just picture like I don't even think that I've gone through anything.
Sure.
It's weird.
Now, okay, but I think, like, would you say that's part of your personality? Like, you're a competitive guy. You like to win. You're a little prick on the ice. Like, you know what I mean?
It.
So when that's, you know, after that all set in, where it's like, okay, like I've got the C word, man. This is crazy, right? Was it like, hey, I'm fighting this. I'm hammering on. Like, did you kind of change that mentality a little bit of like, kind of going after it?
I mean, there's a switch that kind of, like you said, turns on. I remember like with my parents, I think thinking like I was laying in bed, like, okay, like they're really sad, Jake, but you like gotta like help, like help my parents out, help my little sister out, and like tell her like I'm gonna be fine, like we'll get through this, like don't worry, I got this. And then it was just attacking the treatments, getting them done.
Well, it's funny, man. Like, and this is not even in the same like world as what you went through, but probably a year and a half ago now, I broke my leg, like pretty bad break, and
I broke both my ankles.
Yeah, that's right. You did, man. One time, didn't you?
Yeah, same.
That's
way
right
on the ice.
That's right. I remember that. That was in Ilderton or something, wasn't it?
Ilderton Rink,
That's
power
right.
skating.
Yeah,
wheelchair
you've
for
gone
6
through this.
weeks.
Right. So, but I remember going through it, and the easy thing to do, I think, when you do something like that, like breaking both your ankles, I'm not even putting cancer in the same ballpark here, but any kind of like bad thing that happens to you.
Yeah, they're both tough.
Yeah, but the easy thing to do is be like, poor me, here we go, poor me. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, I'm not saying just athletes. I think just a mindset of in general people, anybody, doesn't matter, but is, okay, now I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to get better as fast as I can. Like, and then you kind of hammer on that. And, you know, and I think that approach for me, I know with my broken leg helped me get back way faster than I think had I self-pity myself a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the same is true for you. Like, I want to go through this a little bit with you because that minor midget year, you get diagnosed, you kind of have a treatment plan set up.
Yeah.
You're in the end of your season, kind of endish of the season, kind of that December, January, February. You're in the lead, kind of close to the lead of leading, you know, scoring leader of your league in minor midgets. Your draft year, a lot of things going on. You and your family make a decision to kind of keep it hush hush. Let the coaches know so they know if you need a night off or you need a practice off. It's cool. Didn't tell the teammates, and just didn't tell really anybody. I know you told a couple people in that you trusted and stuff, but other than that, kind of kept it hush hush. And what I want to ask you is, what was the reason for that? I guess, was it, you know, for you and your family to kind of do that? Because I think that was, we'll get into it in a sec. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if we were like hiding it. We're just like, let's not rush into anything, because then obviously the word's an intense word. People just blow it out of proportion. Yeah. So we just kind of came together and said, we'll let the coaches know. My family all knew. But it just wasn't the right time to tell my teammates. Like, those guys have been my best friends for 7-8 years. And I was like, this is also the biggest year of their life. And I don't need them being distracted by me. Like, let's wait till the timing's right, and then we'll tell everyone in an appropriate way. So yeah, the coaches knew, and I played, and then until I had to get like these things. I had to have a couple surgeries just for like weight. I don't know if you know, but like to get treatment, you have to have like this thing put in.
Yeah, it's like a stint,
like a porta-calf. Yeah. So I got that.
You can talk in medical terms. I'm practically a doctor, so it's fine.
Yeah. So I had to. So literally, I played until I couldn't play because I had to get this thing put in. And then once I was like I can't play games, then it was like I had to tell people because it made sense. So, the coaches actually told the team one night when I wasn't there, and then
And how was the reception from the boys? Like,
very good.
Yeah,
they were all unbelievable. Like, all those kids, like, I can't appreciate them enough. I can't thank them enough for the way they handled it. They didn't make it a big deal, which was very important to me. Like, I didn't want the attention from it. So that was huge. They just kind of, obviously they like all reached out to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was cool. Well, not cool, but it meant a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, they never made it a big deal. They all knew, even when the team found out, still, like, we weren't just releasing it to the public. So they all kind of
kept it hush-hush.
Within the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think what I want to talk about with that whole decision to not tell people, and I know, like, you're right, it is a big year for a lot of the boys and stuff like that. And I know you're not a guy who likes the spotlight. Like, you don't mind scoring the big goal and you don't mind being the MVP of the tournament. But, and I think it says a lot about your character and even your family of just, let's just keep this. And when the timing's right, we'll let them know. But for now, let them focus on their games. Let them focus on as a team. Let do that stuff. And then we'll let them know. And I know when you did let the team know, you're right. It didn't trickle into like the hockey vines for a while. And then it kind of went through those veins.
Slowly,
Yeah, totally. And one thing too I want to talk about a little bit is just this goes back to like the hockey world. And when you first got diagnosed, I remember I knew about it. And then when it kind of got out to the public a little bit, and then people started talking about it, the stuff I heard was, just the rumors of what people say, and it's unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean? From like, and one of them you brought up was, go ahead and
That was maybe like the sickest one I heard, to be honest. I'm like, no names or everything. But apparently I was faking it for the draft. I'm like, okay, so I'm faking getting sick to get drafted higher? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Like, can we step back here and actually think about what we're saying?
Well, and the thing too is I really don't think a young kid would say that. Like, I think a lot of these rumors came from parents or kids hearing something and then turning it out of, wrapping it out of proportion. But yeah, like even things like, oh, he's going to lose his nose and like all this crazy stuff and no idea what's going on. I remember squashing something and be like, no, it's not even what's going on. Like,
right.
And if you don't know what you're talking about, please zip it. Like, don't even talk about it, and I think that's probably one of the hard things for you to go through, even just as a player, the rumors that fly around just as a player, and then to hear things like that, Now with the draft, I mean, you were probably projected to go in the top 2 rounds. You're, the leading goal scorer in the Alliance. You're having a good year. It was unbelievable. Couldn't play in the playoffs, obviously, but now getting, an announcement like that, the scouts and general manager stuff knew about this.
Yep.
You end up getting drafted in the 4th round. Number one thing, I guess, when you heard about this with cancer and all that stuff, and it probably wasn't much of a thought till later, but were you thinking about the draft again? Like, man, how is this going to affect, long term?
Again, I thought about that year for so long, and then all this kind of crap comes about, and I'm like, oh, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just stayed like, if I get drafted, I get drafted. If not, like, I'll make a team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember going into the draft. I think that was another kind of good thing about the draft is my representative, or like my agent, reached out to teams, and he was unbelievable about it. He said, if you have any questions, just talk to the kid. Like, don't ask coaches.
Yeah.
Hear it from him. So I think I talked to every single team.
Yeah.
GMs, everything. And I just told them, like, I'm going to be fine. Like, if you want me to play next year, I'll play next year.
Yeah.
Which obviously was maybe a stretch, but yeah, I just told every team, like, honest, like, I'm going to be good. And then lucky enough, Hamilton took a chance on me on the 4th round. I remember that day. That's another thing. Like, that day should be a special day. It was, like, brutal for me.
For sure.
Like, just, like, seeing kids I think I may have more potential than. I'm like, are they missing on me because of my hockey, or are they missing me because I'm not feeling well?
Right.
And I'm like, am I going to get drafted? Like,
Yeah.
our teams, because you don't know how people handle it. It's obviously a scary word.
Yeah.
And I did my best to reassure everyone, but still, like, I understand they might have worries or
Yep.
whatever. So, and then when Hamilton drafted me, I was like, okay, awesome. Like,
Yeah.
this is great.
But this is also like a little insight into the hockey world and how frugal the hockey world can be,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're getting love and support from all these teams. And I'm sure you talk to scouts when you're in Bantam and agents and man.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, something changes or something, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, crickets. And, and that day, for anybody who has never been through like an OHL draft with friends or buddies or children, it's a long day, man. You're at your computer at 9:00 in the morning and you're clicking refresh
It's brutal, yeah.
every 10 seconds trying to see what the next draft is. And it's a long, and to your point, man, even if you're a first rounder and you go in the first round late, you're looking at the 10th pick being like, that guy sucked. 11th pick. Like,
Yeah.
and you're going through it for rounds. You're like, man, like, I outscore that guy by 10, 20, 30 points. Like,
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, 4th round's not that long. But like, for the kids that are like 12, 13,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I got to figure out a way to speed it up somehow. Because it's so long, and I feel like, not like bad for the kids, but it's like, it's just, I get it. It's so hard on them, like, all day waiting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So now you end up getting drafted to Hamilton, which is obviously awesome. Good team, good organization. And then that next year, so you go through your treatment. Unfortunately, you can't play the playoffs your minor midget year. Go through the draft. And then the following year, you end up, playing junior B, which happens to a lot of guys. You get drafted, and then you play your junior B or junior A tier 2, and then hopefully, make the team. But you end up getting like 30-something games in junior B.
Yep.
Which,
So I didn't go to rookie camp in Hamilton. I wasn't ready.
yeah,
And then I went to main camp. And it was the first time I skated.
no way.
It was at main camp when
How'd
I
that
was
feel?
16.
How'd that feel?
Rusty.
Yeah.
But Hamilton was so good. Like, no pressure. Do
Yeah.
what you want. Like, just whatever.
go wheel
You
around. Yeah.
Put the gear on and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I remember deciding, well, because at the time I was also really heavily considering going to the NCAA.
Sure.
Just because, like, it'll give me 2 more years, like,
definitely.
with everything I've gone through. So I was like, I'm going to go play junior B for a year, get my feet back under me. It gives me more time to think about the OHL versus the NCAA. And then, yeah, I played 30 games. And halfway through that year, I had visited a couple schools, which were awesome. I think the NCAA is awesome. But I had kind of been down to Hamilton twice, and I met with them and just felt super comfortable and ready to play there. My game was coming together good, and so I signed halfway through that year. But I didn't play until the following year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that following year, you make it as kind of your first year as a rookie.
Yep, 17.
And then how many games did you get in that year? Because you guys had a good team, man. You guys were going on a run, which is hard as a young kid going in, right?
It was like the craziest year of my life. Well, no, but the craziest year of hockey of my life.
Yeah.
At the start of the year, we were good, and I played a lot, actually. Well, not like first line, but I was playing good minutes. I played like, I think before Christmas, I had probably played like 25 of like the first 34
awesome.
games.
Yeah,
Like, I
that's
played
great.
a lot. And then we were good. I was on like the second power play. And then we got too good for me, and we started to like pick up guys because we were like really good.
Yeah.
And then the second half, we like really went for it. Like, got like Robbie Thomas. Like,
Yeah, that's
six
right.
6 guys from that team have already played in the NHL.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
But so cool for me. But yeah, I played like 5 games the second half.
Yeah.
And then no games in the playoffs.
But went on a run. Like, we're
Yeah.
part of a run, which is unreal. Like, yeah. And I know it sucks when you're Black Ace and you're not playing. Like
Yeah.
it's not the same, but it's still cool to see those guys play and practice every day,
So
and, you know, and
cool.
being around that. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much from those guys, just even, like you said, in practice, watching the games. That, like, my game even developed when I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And another thing for me was, like, in the gym, because everything I went through, like,
sure.
my body, like, these guys are bigger and stronger, and they were bigger and stronger than me. So that gave me more time just to work out one-on-one with the trainer during the first periods of games and get ready for the next year,
Yeah, no, that's great. Because, yeah, you must have, I never even touched on that, but you must have noticed, obviously, a massive difference in your body going through the end of your minor midget year, going through treatment, and then trying to, you know, get ready for junior B. Like, and two, you've been training, working out, and skating like 4 days a week, going to the academy and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden,
it all stopped.
And
like, I was a late bloomer to start, like, and then on top of it, so like I was behind. Like, I'll never argue with anyone. I never argued with any of the coaches that told me like it'll be good for you to work out like this game. I was like, I get it. So
yeah. Which, I mean, you've always been a mature kid, and a mature young man, but those are things that are hard to take. But you know, being able to wrap your head around it, like, I get it. I got to get stronger. I know I got to do that. That's part of my game. I got to get better at. So let's hammer it.
Oh,
you know?
it's and like I make it sound like it was easy. It wasn't easy. Like for 10 games, probably the start of the first half, I'd go in every game thinking I was playing and then get scratched, which was really hard. But then eventually you kind of just come to a realization. What's going to happen, that I'm not going to be in the lineup unless something happens.
Yeah.
And I had a good group, me, Nab Mutter, who skates here.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't playing either, so we were together. We could push each other.
Yeah.
And then I was still a part of a team that won the OHL, so, like, my name's still on the trophy, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. So then going into that next year, so, I mean, this is nuts because, you know, double whammy here, but then you get diagnosed again. So what happened? Like, so you guys go on a run, get to the Mortal Cup, all that stuff, have an unreal run, and then what happens the next year? So now you're kind of part of that roster, you're part of the Hamilton Bulldogs.
So then I'm getting prepared to, like, kind of take on a bigger role. Like, I remember when we won the OHL, our GM, like, hugged me, and he's like, this is your team.
Yeah.
Like, that was what he said to me, like, this is your team moving forward. And I was, so that's my mindset in the summer. Like, I'm getting ready for a big year. And then, I just, again, started to kind of feel the same symptoms. Well, not the same symptoms because it had changed, but just started to not feel right again.
Yeah.
So then
Did you think right away, like, oh, man?
Well, yeah, and I tell anyone this because, like you were saying earlier, like, people, as soon as they have something wrong, they just flip the switch. Oh, my God, like, the worst, whatever. The 2 times I've had it, I've, without a doubt, knew I had it.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Just
like,
the way you felt?
It's unexplainable the way you feel. Like,
really?
You don't feel bad. It's like things stop working.
Really, eh?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just, it's not normal. Like, it's not
it's not.
It's not like the sniffles, not like the flu, like achy, cold, hot. No, it's like totally different.
Yeah. So, like, I tell people, because, like, I've had buddies worry or, like, whatever. I'm like, no, trust me, if you had it, you would know you had it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the case for everyone, but for my
you, eh?
2 times I've kind of dealt with it, I was like, yeah,
what kind of stuff
something legitimately isn't right.
Can you recall what kind of things, like, weren't working? Was it just, like, was it things like sense of smell or, like, coordination or, like
I literally couldn't breathe out of my nose, or I couldn't pop my ear. Like, they were, like, literally, like, and then with the leg, like, my leg was just, like, I don't know if you ever saw my leg, but, like, it was super, like, abnormal looking. Like,
really?
It was just like, yeah, okay, this. So.
And it started, like, did you start noticing it, just, like, getting changed? You look at it, or, like, in the mirror, you're like.
Well, again, like, I was also in denial the second time.
Okay.
Like, oh no, my leg's just bugging me. But then I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh God, like, are you kidding? So we went and got it looked at, and they're like, oh, whatever, restart.
Oh man! And what was the diagnosis there? Because you were saying that it's basically the same type.
It's the exact same.
And just is glands, right? Is that what it is, or
it's called nasal pharyngeal carcinoma. It's just like, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but it's somehow like a cell had just traveled through.
Oh, okay, and
through
then
my body,
landed in your leg, basically. So what happened there then? Was it surgery? Was it chemo again?
It was the exact.
Okay.
It was less treatment this time. But yeah, chemo.
And were they, again, you guys caught it early? They were pretty positive
right
that they're going to be able
They're
to.
like, okay, like,
Yeah.
it sucks, but
Yeah.
again, let's just get through it and get you back on the ice.
So that's your 18-year-old year in the O, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then aren't able, like, now you're doing treatment and you're getting kind of,
Yeah.
and you're getting wiped out again. Like your body's,
Yeah.
you know,
So then, like, I'm being depleted. That's another, even though it's only like a certain amount of time, it's really a year because by the time you start feeling well again and then you start training again, then you start skating again, like it's, even though it's like maybe 6 weeks or whatever of treatment or whatever it is, it takes a lot longer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 18-year-old year, and then last year as well, right? Like last year, you end up playing some games last year, did you?
So the end of last year, I was like starting to feel like, okay, like I'm gonna play here, and then COVID. Yeah.
So you're just a run of bad luck, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
yeah, because you were just starting to get like going practicing with the team. I
Yeah.
remember that and getting
taking like line reps
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And like, I'll be honest with you, like right now, this is like the best I have literally felt since I was 16 years old.
No way.
Like
good
just
for
like
you.
I just feel normal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel normal.
Yeah.
And I feel like strong and
That's awesome.
yeah.
Oh, that's good. And I mean, even on the ice, like for me, I've known you for a long time, but like you look great. Like on the
Yeah.
ice, you look good. You know what I mean? And I know
Uh-huh.
there's little things you always like to get better at, and you like to push yourself, obviously. But it is like knowing the whole story and people hearing this to see where you were in minor midget, you know, getting diagnosed to where you are now. Like, I mean, unbelievable. You know, like, and what a battle. Like, you know, I'm sure sometimes you think back, like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
those 4 years of just battle.
Time has flown by. It's
crazy,
That's
right?
like the
Yeah.
one thing. It's just
Yeah.
went by really fast.
Yeah. Now you mentioned something earlier, and I want to get back on the whole cancer topic, but NCAA and the OHL, you're kind of torn between the two, and a lot of kids are, right? Not sure what to do. Like, should I play in the OHL, should I play NCAA? And I think either one is a really good fit depending on the kid and where you're going. But just so parents are clear on this, you decided to go to the OHL.
Yep.
You end up signing there, and basically you've got a bit of a scholarship, you know, but for playing in the O, right? So a lot of parents aren't sure about what that is or what that entails. You don't have to say numbers, but by signing there, you got your 4 years of schooling paid for. So
that was, to be honest, the reason I'm in Hamilton.
yeah.
I think if I didn't get the not that I'm like greedy.
No,
or
no, but
expect
it's
more,
no.
like,
I think it's important.
School is huge for my parents.
Yeah.
Like school first, to be honest. If I didn't get the 4 years of school, like I probably would have been in the NCAA because I was talking to schools there that were ready to do that. So if Hamilton didn't, and like it's so crazy how the hockey world works. My year in St. Thomas, I had talked to Hamilton.
Yeah.
But not like they never talked numbers with me or even had really like decided they want to sign me. And then I went to Cornell for a visit, and
Hamilton's like, uh-oh.
I posted a video or a picture on my Instagram, and like within 48 hours, Hamilton called me and wanted to fully sign me.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Because it is like
it's like
but even like even NCAA wise, and for parents, it's something to think about. Like junior hockey wise, NCAA wise, OHL wise, it doesn't matter. You go to Cornell. Now all of a sudden, Michigan's like,
they
Bray
like
kid?
fight.
and then all and then Ferris State's like, who's this kid? And like then you all of a sudden get more, and the same with the OHL.
Picks
Like,
up fast.
yeah, and then even the OHL kids that are undrafted sometimes go in as a free agent. They're like really good. And they're like, who's this kid? And now you got 5 teams that want to offer this guy full, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's crazy.
yeah.
But you can use that as a bit of leverage sometimes too. Like, well, I'm
I
talking
had
to
talked
schools.
about
Like,
my agent with that, like
for sure.
using team,
100%.
you like use them against each other almost.
Yes,
which
for
is
sure.
kind of sneaky or whatever.
No,
but-
it's not even, because they would drop you in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not knocking the OHL or NCAA or anything, but it's a business for them as well. So if you get cancer,
Very
you're going to
much
drop in the
so,
draft. They're not going
right.
to spend a first round pick on you because they're not sure, you know,
Right.
and that's
Maturity,
okay.
yeah.
That's part of the game. But at the same time, if you can leverage a team against another, like
They're gonna
they're going to offer
yeah.
me a 4-year scholarship at Cornell or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. And if you guys want me, you got to step up, and they do. Perfect. Like,
Yeah.
okay, great. You know,
It's like I wanted to be a Hamilton Bulldog. I love the NCAA. I think it's awesome. I got some buddies that like play, and I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
but like I had been to Hamilton a few times. I went for like a playoff game, and like my heart was set on Hamilton. Like I went to the Knights games every Friday as a kid. Like I loved the OHL. I think it's so cool, and it has been so cool. But yeah, so my heart was set on Hamilton. So like when they had finally stepped up, I was like, okay, done.
Yeah.
I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it's close to home. It's an hour 20. I was a homebody, which was important.
Sure.
And yeah, so once that, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm ready.
Yeah. And it is nice to have that in the back of your mind that you've got school covered, right? Because if whatever, you blow a wheel and you can't play anymore or something, you lose the passion for it. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least you got that covered. And for parents that don't know, like when he says school's covered, for the most part, now kids in the OHL that sign a 4-year package like this are getting like their tuition covered, their housing a little bit, their books. So you're getting most of your schooling covered, if not all, which is awesome. Like you're getting basically a full scholarship to play in the OHL.
Right.
And that's what I find, like when I'm talking to parents about this stuff, that's what I find is attractive to the OHL now more than like 5-10 years ago, where the packages are great. And man, you could get basically a scholarship here, and getting a scholarship to NCAA is not easy.
No.
Like,
and it was also the unsurety. Like, okay, so I commit to a school. I had actually got drafted to the USHL too. So I was like, okay, I can play in the USHL for the next 2 years until I go there, but I'm going to have to live in Chicago. Like, I got drafted by a team in just outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, or I moved to like Toronto, play in the OJHL for a year. So it was just like Hamilton, like I'll be there next year. I have a home there. Yeah. And Steve Stais, the general manager, like was awesome to me. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm comfortable with it. I'm ready. So let's do it.
It's great, man. That's really good. And now obviously COVID is a mess and another C word that's screwing you over here. Right?
Brutal.
Yeah. So I mean, going through this, is it maybe, because I know we're all really hopeful that leagues are going to get back going, and maybe it's after Christmas, but hopefully everything kind of picks up again and we get moving again. Has this given you an opportunity? Because I know it's like the biggest off season ever for players, right? So you got 8 months of off season,
longest.
But let's say it's 9-10 months. Has this been helpful for you overall, just as far as like being able to get in a routine of training and working out and skating and stuff? It's been huge
for me. That's been like the one positive from COVID for me. It's just like it's just an extended period, like more time to be ready. Just because I haven't even played a game since I was 17. So yeah, the longer I can have just to work on my game and get back to where I should be and start like moving forward, pushing. Yeah, I'll take huge, every day. Yeah. Like every skate I get here is just another skate I can get better before I have to go back to Hamilton. So, yeah.
No, it's so, and there's a couple guys that we've been working with that similar boat to you, not even close, but like broken ankle and haven't played in like a year, and are like, this has actually been nice because I can really get back into shape rather than not rushing it. But you know, if you had to go to camp in September, October, not that you would have been probably fine, but like you got a couple extra months here to like just work on things.
Welcomed,
yeah, for sure. And what's your routine been like now as far as, you know, are you back to full schedule, working out 4 or 5 days a week, 6
full
days
schedule,
a week?
Yeah. I'm in the gym 4 times a week, and then we skate here 3 times. Yeah. I skate. Yeah.
And like as
regular,
far as like energy levels kind of feel like you said, back like you were 16 again.
Normal, yeah, really normal. My sleeps are awesome. I like wait. I'm almost at the point where like I feel so good, like I don't want to sleep at night. Like I'm like, okay, like
take more of the
let's
day.
go out, let's do something. Just because I miss so much, I'm like trying to hang out with friends every day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even being in town for an extended period of time, it's probably nice to just be able to reconnect with some people and spend a little more time. Right?
Oh yeah. And my sister moved away to university, so it's like the first, like I'm at home, like with my parents
you're an only
alone.
Child, your dream.
Oh yeah.
Your dream came true.
Yeah.
Where's your sister at school?
Laurier.
Okay, so not too far. And are they doing full classes right now? Are they doing online and a combination?
Online.
Okay.
Which is tough.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
Yeah. No, definitely. And then what's kind of looking into the future for you? And I know, you know, over the time, probably going through treatments, going through all that kind of stuff, you've had a lot of time to probably think, and probably more time than you wanted to.
Yeah.
But like when you look long term, like is there anything like that you'd love to be? I know obviously playing in the NHL, but you know, are there things that like, because when you're thinking about stuff and kind of thinking your future, is there kind of stuff that because you've got a different perspective than a lot of young guys at 20, right?
Absolutely.
You've gone through, like you said earlier, like life is precious, man. Some days I just want it to go slow and I want to stay up 20 hours a day just to take the day in. But
I think the next step for me, I mean, I'd love to play pro hockey if I have a good year. Like, that would be a dream come true. But if not, like, I'm going to go to university, and then I have, like, down the road, as far as jobs go, I have no idea what I want to be.
yeah,
I think it's funny. I actually probably don't want anything to do with the medical field, just because, like, I'm just over it. I want elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, undecided. I think hockey, like, I'm a complete hockey nerd. Like, I'd love to work in the hockey world someday. Whether, like, if not a player, like, I'd love to be a GM or something. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. Whether or not I'll ever be one is another story, but definitely sports.
Yeah.
I'm a huge sports fanatic, so I'd love to work in the world of sports, and we'll see if that happens. So.
Well, I mean, I think, just with your track record of overcoming like piles of shit.
Yeah.
I think if someone says no, you can never do this. I think you'll be all right. I think you'll find a way to plow through it. Definitely. Man, listen, I really appreciate the time, obviously, that you spend. I really am humbled by, like, you telling your story. I think it's awesome. And it puts a lot of perspective, puts things into perspective. And I think for any young kid out there or any parent out there, like, I think we sometimes have to look at the big picture on stuff, and you've had an opportunity over the last 4 years, many, many times, to look at the big picture on a lot of things. And a lot of us don't get that opportunity. We kind of are stuck in our tunnel vision and in our lives, and we don't, and I think it's, I think it's huge to take a step back sometimes and appreciate what you got, right?
Absolutely. I always tell people, like, it's kind of funny, and, like, I know I'm not, like, normal, but, like, I hear my buddies, like, bickering, or, like, my sister will be upset about something. I'm like, hold up, like, does that really matter? Like, what you're mad about? Like, are you that sad over whatever it is? I'm like, you'll figure it out. You'll be good.
Yeah. Now, when you say stuff like that to people, because, like, if I said that to somebody, or another 20-year-old said that to somebody, they'd be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas you say, it's like, oh man, that guy fucked cancer twice. Like,
yeah.
He's
like,
got a little more clout.
Maybe he's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what kind of reaction do you get though? Like, especially your sister. Like, she's
from my sister,
she'll shut up, right?
She'll just be like, most of the time she'll just go, like, quiet and be like, okay, like, yeah, I guess.
What a
whatever.
loser.
Yeah. Like, really? Get out of here.
Yeah. But yeah, like, even like with your buddies are probably like, oh man, he's probably right. Like, not
and I'm not trying to be like
the
wise guy in the group. I'm just like, boys, really? Who cares? Like, let's just have fun.
But as a parent, we say this to our kids all the time.
Yeah.
Like, is it really that big of a deal that your underwear are on backwards? Like, or whatever it is, or your socks are different colors? Like, who cares,
Yeah.
And, but as you get older, like, and your kids just kind of don't even listen to it. But now you got someone here that's got, like, a lot of clout on stupid things, trivial things that we think are a big deal. You're like, dude, what's the big deal, man? Like, relax. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What was it like for you and your sister? Like, I mean, as a sibling for her, that's got to be tough, man, going through kind of what you guys went through, obviously. Did that bring you guys closer together? Did it, like, kind of, did she kind of
I think so,
alone?
yeah. My sister's been huge for me.
Yeah.
Even though she's younger, she's been an absolute, like, rock, which I'm so thankful for. I've never like, this is weird. It's been whatever, I've gone through it twice. But I don't think me and my sister have ever even, like, sat down and just talked about it.
No way.
Like, it's just one of those things where, like, she'll just, like, text me, like, you good? And I'll be like, yep, you good? And then we're like, good, but, like, we know each other, we got each other, and she's always there for me if I'm like, I need something, or I'm always there for her if she needs something. And I know that's another thing, like, it's so hard on the person that's going through it, but, like, it's so hard on everyone else. Like,
man,
that's one of the things I've especially had to deal with, is, like, this feeling of, like, guilt, because, like, stuff happens because of what I've went through, and I'm like, oh, like, I feel terrible, like. So, but yeah, they've been awesome. My sister's been awesome. She's doing great at school and stuff. So, yeah.
No, it's great. Would you give, I don't want to keep you much longer, but I think you hit on something that's really, really important, because as a mother or a father or a sister or brother, it's like hard to know how to how to deal with it, or how to approach it, or how to what you
Right.
need, what you don't need. And you're right, probably causes some stress on the marriage, probably causes some stress on the other child who's getting neglected a little bit, right? And
Tons, absolutely.
things like that. So for you, would you have any advice for, let's go parents first? And I know you're a young guy, but what advice would you give as the person? You're like, don't worry about this so much, or don't do this so much, or is there any advice you give to somebody going through this as a parent?
I think one of the things I'm super thankful with my parents is that they continually try to just be normal with me. That's like a huge thing. Like the person speaking from, I don't know how everyone's feeling, but for me, like I didn't want to be known as the kid that like went through it. I didn't want to be treated specially. So my parents were great at like still telling me like, you got to make your bed. Like you can't just like, it's tough what you're going through, but we're going to get through it. So let's be normal. Let's all treat each other normal as we would if nothing was happening. So that was huge. That was probably the biggest, is just continue to be there for them, obviously.
Yeah.
And if they want to talk it, then yes, talk about it with them, but don't always be pressing the fact on the individual.
I think that's massive though, because you want to still be a kid.
Yeah.
Like even, you used to want to play video games. You still want to like, go around in your pajamas till noon on Saturday. And like, I think that is important, because as a parent, you probably heart's broken and you just like feel so bad all the time, but you don't want to feel that like pressure of like mom feeling bad for me all the time,
Like,
I think that's really good. Yeah. And then what about siblings? Like, having a sister that kind of went through with you, she's a little bit younger. Is there any advice that you give to them to kind of like how they would deal with?
I don't really know. I have to ask my sister. I think for her, just always being there. Like if it was the shoe was on the other foot, I would just make sure I was always there for them.
Yeah.
Whether that's helping them out with doing things like physically, or just shooting them a text like, how are you? How's your day? But again, don't treat them as special. Well, they're special, but like, don't overdo it. Don't overdo the fact that they're going through something. And that goes with like anything. If like they're having a tough day, like you don't want someone in your face like, why are you having a tough day? Like you just maybe like, how are you? Like, what can we do? Or
totally, yeah. And last thing here, but how important or how impactful was it to get just even sometimes like a random text from a buddy, just hey buddy, you good? Hey man, how's it going? Like what? Because I think a lot of times we all go through this where like we have really good buddies that I haven't talked to in like a year. Like why not? Why not send a text that takes 3 seconds? Being like, hey bud, you good? Like how impactful was that?
I've had some there's also like unbelievable buddies, like some guys that went away, or like not even went away, just like our lives kind of separated. Sure. And then that's like for me, like I'm like so friend and family oriented. Like when these guys would like reach out to me, or they kind of came back into my life, and like that's huge. Like just being there. Like they're not doing anything special. They're just like giving me a FaceTime every couple of weeks. Like, how are you? Catching up. And they don't bring it up to me like, how are your treatments going?
Right.
They were always just like, what's up, bro? Like, how's school? Like, have you been skating? Like, that was so cool.
Got a girlfriend, stuff like that, right? Yeah. So do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Oh, single. All right, we gotta get the phone number out.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. And listen, I really appreciate it. And man, you're an inspiration to a lot of people. I know you don't like your tires pumped, but I'll pump them up a little for you right now before you go. No, thanks a lot. This has been great.
I appreciate it.
This is awesome, man. All right, you take care, okay?
All right, you too.
All right, no more C words, no more COVID, no more cancer, okay?
Done with that letter.
Yeah, exactly. Pulling it out of the alphabet. All right, have a good day, bud.
See ya. Thank you.
To kind of raise that bar.
That extra gear, the first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.